What's up, Macon-Bibb? It's Edna Adams.
And Olivia Walter.
And you're listening to
Macon It.
We've got a great guest today. I'm really excited about this one. This is the Macon Violence Prevention, known as MVP Coordinator, the Jeremy Grissom.
Hey, Thanks for having me.
How's it going, Jeremy?
It's going good. Glad to be here.
We're excited to have you here. I know we talk a lot about MVP, and this is a program that we've had for a few years now, and we are really excited to dive in a little bit deeper with this. We talk about it a lot, but there are still some people in our community who don't really know what MVP is or what it does. Do you mind explaining that?
Absolutely. So essentially, what we found is that there was a lot of concern in the community about homicides, rising violent crime, and then in 2022, unfortunately, we've seen a spike. One of the highest years that Macon-Bibb had ever seen, and the growing concern started to stretch to the community, and they wanted to talk about, what they thought would be the perfect answer. And, because we have the mayor that we have, Mayor Miller, he's invested in us all being one team and everybody being a part of the solution. So that's kind of where we started, and we did the forums and heard what people had to say, and we built our strategic plan around that. And the biggest thing that we heard was unsupervised activities for youth. Idle time in the summer, whether it be fall break, spring break, just time for kids that are unsupervised to do a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing. And so we invested in nonprofits that were already doing this work. Some of them are grassroots. There's a lot of different things that we did, from increasing pay to, bolstering our code enforcement to beautification. I mean, just showing the community that the concern was in every area. I think that helped us a lot.
I think I go back to that launch, that picture of when we announced what MVP is and what it's doing, that community picture and seeing everyone there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really showed just like how much Macon wanted to get behind such a good cause. And with that, I was just curious, how do people, if they're interested in getting involved in Macon Violence Prevention, how would they get involved?
So there's a few different ways they can actually get involved. We just closed our third round of grant applications on May 10th, but we just took grant applications. There's always things on our Facebook page, so we make sure we get in touch with our grantees and that they give us dates of upcoming events. And if people want to volunteer, there's a link to volunteer there. And then also there's an option to meet with the Community Foundation to apply for other grants that are not necessarily MVP grants, but they still service the community in that way. And then just being present. There, like I said, we funded over 60 organizations throughout 3 rounds. And so there's always a place to help and serve, even if it's just giving an idea.
I think with the beginning of this launch, we didn't know exactly what it was going to look like. We knew that there was a problem. We knew that we needed to find a solution. And so in the beginning of that, there were plenty of public forums where we heard from the community, even online surveys, I believe. And you mentioned that we found that there was a need for activities, things to keep the kids busy and safe. What have been some of those things that we've been seeing here in the past couple of years?
So a lot has come down to, when you think about supervised activities, it doesn't always have to be, for lack of better words, babysitting. It's mentorships, it's apprenticeships, it's just being present. Sometimes, being able to have a kid at Booker T where they have a robot and they do STEM, or just having these events on the weekends. I remember we did, one of the biggest ones for me was midnight basketball. And I got to see the effect of that on its own, because, when you imagine playing basketball from the hours of 8 o'clock to almost 12 or 1, there's nothing left to do after that but go home. And those are probably some times that some of those individuals would be out doing some things that were risky. And also, they started to bring their families. So it was less of a chance for anything to happen when you have your mom and maybe one of your children and, your wife or girlfriend there watching you play basketball. So it started to be a family event. And we saw crime dip down, and then we did other things. We used policies to make sure that some of the stores and hotels that were not operating properly, either followed conditions or they were closed. So yeah, we seen a big decrease in 23.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about Midnight Basketball is you could really see that people were taking a lot of pride in those games, and it was a fun event for everybody. People were really excited about going to see those games and supporting their family members that were playing in Midnight Basketball games.
Yeah, and it showed the investment in the community. I think not only were we, giving them the financial backing to do it, but we actually showed up, and to have, some of us sitting there at 10 o'clock on a Saturday watching them play basketball, I think they kind of put some of their trust back in the community and showed them that we were vested in what they were doing.
About how many programs do we have invested in this program?
Currently, we have about 31 still operating with their closing reports to come up at the end of July. And we're hoping to get another batch on this third round. It hadn't been announced yet. But we're hoping that we'll get another great group. I'm sure it'll probably be some of the same groups that are already operating. They have done well, but we're hoping to get some new ideas, and because I think that's the thing. You don't start over. You build on what you have, and you hope that more people will bring more ideas and more people will just get involved. I think that's the biggest thing. We have this world of Facebook and social media where people like to solve their problems there, or at least think they can, but the real work happens in the ideas and the connection to community and the work that you do in the community.
I mean, it really takes a village.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm proud of, is that, like you said, people really got behind MVP. Even if they were not in the front, there were so many people holding up the back, and there was no limit to the amount of people that were willing to help in any organization, any side of town. And I think that's what really made the program itself.
All right. So between the years of 2022 and 2023, we saw an overall decrease by 43% in homicides.
Right. What I think the community doesn't know is, so for every homicide, we count numbers, right? But these are actual people that are no longer here. So not only do we deal with that number, but we deal with that family who's lost. And that could start to, cause harm to trust in the community. You know what I mean? And these parents, they're not, they're very upset. You know what I mean? They feel like this is a place where I should be protected, where my child should be protected, and that was the behind the scenes that a lot of people didn't get to see, that we had to deal with. And those who work in these offices, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, they heard the same complaints. Those are, the people that are highest up bear the burden of those homicides.
And I think that's a really great way to start addressing any sort of generational traumas that go with that. While we'd love for that rate to go down completely, you still have to prevent by reaching out to the families and making sure they know that they've got a community behind them after that.
And I think what the greatest way to prevent or intervene in that is to start with these kids when they're extremely young. And we've saw a lot of the nonprofits that we funded, that's exactly what they do. You know what I mean? Because sometimes just being present, and then when you're present in their lives, you find out about things that you might not have known about on the surface. So a suspension might come from a child coming to school having an attitude because they're hungry, or they have on dirty clothes, or they don't know where they're going to sleep, or they stayed up late last night. You know what I mean? All these things you can't get in one meeting, you know what I mean, or one interaction. It takes time to build a relationship, and that's what a lot of these nonprofits do. They spend time with the kids, and we have the Lead with Literacies and the Macon Family Time, where the family can come and get a meal and a free book every time they show up. You know what I mean? And I think that's super important, just in the way of being consistent and giving them a voice, or a place to have a voice. I think that carries us a long way in community.
We talk about numbers, but you've seen firsthand the impact that these organizations have made for these children. Are there any particular stories that stick out to you?
I would think the biggest one for me, there are so many. I've heard so many. I just think of a child having issues with the courts and then being out of school after COVID and having a relationship with one of our nonprofits and being able to actually get back in school, have a desire to get back in school. Those situations are where you lose people, or especially youth, and sometimes it's hard to get them back. And, we all know once you get involved in the system, that can be a slippery slope, right? It can go one way or the other, but we always need to be sure that we create more pathways for productive citizens to stay in our community. We want more youth, working and doing well and thriving, because that helps us thrive and continue to build on what we're trying to do here in Macon. So that for me sticks out because it's the opportunity that was given, and when that youth was given the opportunity, they made a good choice. So I'm proud of that, to know that we invested in the right area there, because it could have went either way, and then we might be having a different conversation.
Yeah, I think that's really fantastic, because we can't, without building up our youth, the future of our community is truly in jeopardy. So being able to reach out to the youth and making them a stronger, smarter, more capable generation that we can have carry us throughout the next stages.
Yeah, and I think seeing that somebody on the county level, on the government level, is invested in what they're doing, that's present in programming, that puts money there. You hear about MVP and initiatives from the county probably weekly on the news, if not more, and it's because we're invested, and they see that, their parents see that, people outside of our community see that. So not only do we continue to grow our community, we're showing people that Macon that's what we expect, not only of the youth that are growing up here, but when you come to Macon, that's what we expect here. We expect greatness. That's what we're trying to build.
While the 43% decrease is something to pat ourselves on the back about, our work isn't done. I mean, we want to keep going until we don't have any more homicides.
Right. And in a perfect world, we would never have any more homicides, but we know we can never prevent all violent crime. However, what we can do is build a blanket of intervention, right? And do what we can on the front end to make sure that we're providing resources, exposure, mentorship, all the things that we can do. And that's why I think it's important that we invested in MVP the way we did, because, you've heard the mayor say it before on a lot of probably interviews, that we didn't expect to see this much, success in this short amount of time. But it's because everybody here wanted it. There's not a person that didn't want Macon to succeed, and nobody likes to talk about violent crime. It's like an ugly eyesore. Even when you go 2 or 3 counties over, you're starting to see that, or we've all seen that increase in homicides around the country, right? It's not just us. So we know that we can't completely stop everything, but prevention is really the key for us. It saves us, lives. It saves us time. It saves us money. And it just saves us the heartache of having to say it happened. I mean, I can't think of anything worse that I hear first thing in the morning on the news, like when you hear about a homicide, especially one that could be preventable if the county or the place the homicide happened would have been more invested in the prevention part of it.
And we're just getting started.
Absolutely. And I think that's major. That's major because, it's not that we weren't confident. It's just that we know something that took so much time to build. We didn't get to those number of homicides in a day. If you go back and look at the homicide rate from 2017 to 2022, it was just climbing and climbing, and COVID happened, and then crime exploded everywhere in the country, right? And everybody was scrambling, trying to figure this thing out. But now we have people around around Georgia, asking us how we're setting up our planning, and they're impressed with MVP and how to just get it started all together. So I definitely think that we do have a long way to go. We're just getting started, but we've seen a lot of progress, and I'm very happy with where we are now, and I want to continue to build.
So not just how can people get involved in terms of how can they be a part of the program, but let's say, you're a mother, a grandmother, a sister that wants to get a kid involved in a program. What are the resources in order to find what is actually going on with MVP programs? Where can I find the information to say, I want to send my kid to this program?
So there's two ways you can do that too. You can either get on the Macon Violence Prevention Facebook page and you can send a message and ask for a list of resources, or you can go to the Community Foundation of Central Georgia's page where they list the grant recipients for each round. And if there's not a phone number there, there's an email contact. And if you can't find it there, you can reach out to me by email at jgrissom, which is JGRISSOM, at Macon-Bibb.us.
And Facebook is updated regularly too.
Yes, weekly.
Constantly shared.
At least weekly.
Yeah, sharing what's going on in the community and everything. And I think it's wonderful. A big thank you to Jeremy. Thank you so much for your work. And thank you to all the organizations that make MVP what it is. I think that's really important. I don't think we give them enough credit for the work that they do because a lot of these are nonprofits.
Yeah, and they're new. And here's the beauty in what we do as far as funding grassroots organizations. We not only assist them in building their organization, as you know, we teach them about how to properly use communications. We give them access to hours, how to do a media request, how to properly report. But the biggest thing is how to deal with grant management, because our hopes is that they'll reach outside of Macon-Bibb and start to try to get some federal funding, and then start to get some long-term funding and figure out how to fund themselves. Because if we funded them, we want them to be here, but we want them to grow too. So we don't want them to grow to depend on the county, but to learn how to use the resources to build their organizations.
So Jeremy, you have another event coming up, an exciting one.
Absolutely. So we've partnered with Active Dad, which is an organization that allows dads and their kids to kind of meet up and build community. And so Active Dad has started in Charlotte, and now it's kind of going global. And we have a team here. And so what we're doing is Ice Cream with Dads, August 24th in Amerson Park from 12 to 3. And we're going to have exciting things there for the kids to do, but more so for dads to just meet and talk amongst themselves about what they deal with, shared experiences. And hopefully we can start to build, literally a team of dads that feel supported, that communicate with one another. And I'm excited about it. We're going to have a lot of events. It's going to be hot, but we'll have a lot of water. We'll have some ice cream and a game truck, so it's going to be a good time.
And I think that's a great way for not only MVP to get connections with different dads and kids, and it also helps with Macon Mental Health Matters. I know that part of Macon Violence Prevention is making sure everyone in the community's mental health is strong and stable. You also have a regular men's mental health meetup.
Right.
Tell us a little about that one too.
Right. So I think it all goes hand in hand. Giving dads a valve, a place to release that pressure valve. You know what I mean? And know that there are other dads going through what you're going through in this community, which I think is paramount when you talk about mental health and being well, because, parenting is not an easy task. They don't give you, when you come home from the hospital, there's not a guide. Here's your guide and your kid. You just get to go home, right? So we meet every fourth Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock on the bottom level of Church Hills. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same thing, just allowing men a chance to have those conversations in a safe space. And this dad's meetup will be the same, just some men having a conversation about fatherhood, getting tips. And on the violence prevention tip, I think it builds community. We get opportunity to not only celebrate dads, but then we have the opportunity to tell them about what we're actually doing, and those shared experiences bring us together as a community. And we can get the information, enjoy some time together, and maybe even build some relationships where kids, can play with one another, and you meet like-minded parents, fathers who are just as invested in their children as others are. So
yeah, it's important to know that we're not alone. I think everyone wants to know that. And in the end, a lot of the things that I'm stressed out about, or that you as a father would be stressed out about, you can relate that to a lot of other people. And we're all going through this together, and we're stronger together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is also for not just dads, but any dad-like, father-like figures,
Absolutely.
whether that be big brothers, granddads,
Any
mentors.
Yep. And also, I think that there are some men that want to be dads in the future, or they're going to be dads in the future, or they might just want to bring their dads. You know what I'm saying? So this is not just for fathers, uncles, whatever, even if it's a father figure, you know what I mean, or somebody who just wants to get in community. I encourage you to show up and be present. We're not turning anybody away, and we're looking forward to having that for our community, because I would dare to say it's the first. It's probably not the first, but it's going to be the first that's been this grand. So we're going to call it the first.
Exciting.
Yeah, I hope we really have a lot of people show up to that. And so that'll be at Emerson River Park.
Yep.
August 24th.
Yep.
Is there a time?
From 12 to 3.
12 to 3.
And like I said, we know how the weather is. So, dress for the weather. We're going to have water stations, ice cream. We're going to have a game truck. And all of this is at no cost.
Awesome.
So, I hope that everyone shows up, and we look forward to seeing them there.
Great.
Awesome. I can't wait to see what else this program does for our community. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for being on. You're making it. And if you want to know more about the MVP programs happening in our community, we update you on The Hub, our weekly e-newsletter. You can sign up on Macon-Bibb.us and scroll down to find the Hub link. And here are other things making it in our community.
Yeah, we've got Bragg Jam coming up this weekend, July 27th. And we're very excited about it. It's going to be a great time. If you can't make it, which we really hope you can, don't worry. There's plenty of other music going on in Macon. Support live music. Second Sunday, we'll have their fall series coming up starting in September. So please join in, listen to the music, come to Bragg Jam.
Listen to the music.
Oh, oh.
The gardens at Brookdale are looking for volunteers this summer. If you're interested and have a green thumb, or maybe you don't, like I have no idea what I'm doing when I'm gardening, but
I can't keep my plants alive.
No, same. My husband takes care of that. So if you're anything like me and you don't have a green thumb, and you kind of let your husband or your partner or your roommate or whoever take care of all the gardening, this is a great opportunity for us. The Gardens at Brookdale is looking for volunteers this summer. So you can go to the garden, work out there, learn how to plant, harvest, all the things in between every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday through the month of August from 9 a.m. until 12. The great thing about this too is all of the produce harvested at these gardens goes directly into the kitchens at the Brookdale Resource Center. Now, you do have to register, so if you are interested in doing that, head over to Macon-Bibb.us and search under stories. Get your sneakers on.
It's Mayor's Ball time.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. The Mayor's Ball is back.
It's coming back. December 14th. We've announced the date, so save that date. It'll be at the City Auditorium again. Start shopping for your sneakers.
I can't wait.
Because it's gonna be a heck of a time. We're really looking forward to it. We'll be releasing more information through our hub, through press releases, so sign up for our hub because you're gonna want to get some Mayor's Sneaker Ball tickets this year.
And to sign up for the hub, head over to Macon-Bibb.us and scroll all the way to the bottom of the website and click subscribe.